No help. No help whatsoever from the rest of the NBA, anybody else in the Eastern Conference. No help, Doc Rivers. 76ers close the season winning 8 in a row and yet still play-in tournament bound. Hooray. Good times. So glad they got so hot at the end of the season to not save their season. They don't get the 6th seed. Number of losses throughout the year. Certainly come back haunting you on a day like today. Sixers 7th seed bound. Play-in tournament bound. Jimmy Butler and the Heat bound for Wednesday night. Joel Embiid bound to the bench for this game. Ends up not being a big deal. He'll be ready to go by Wednesday night. I wish I was in a better mood talking about a team that has just won 8 straight. We're going to get into it all. You are Locked On 76ers postcast right now on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel.
You are Locked On 76ers postcast, part of Locked On Sports Philadelphia on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
That's right. Welcome into Philadelphia 76ers postcast here on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. This episode is brought to you by the wonderful people at Monopoly Go. Now, I admit it, like the Sixers, I have a competitive side. It's, I'm a big fan of Monopoly. I'm an even bigger fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on a classic Monopoly game. You know it. You love it. This is Monopoly Go. So you can join your friends and you can download Monopoly Go now for free in the App Store or Google Play. So download it right now, Monopoly Go. And as always, there's a big game in Philadelphia. We're talking about it right here on the Philadelphia YouTube channel for Locked On Sports Philadelphia. As we always do, 3 big things. Number 1. If you're gonna be in the play-in tournament, if you're not gonna be a top 6 seed in a conference, then you might as well be the hottest team in the NBA going into the postseason, going into the play-in tournament, and that's certainly what the 76ers are right now. They have won 8 straight, hottest team in the NBA. Joel Embiid hasn't even played in 2 of those games there on the 8 straight victories. Tyrese Maxey has helped take it to a new level. Kelly Oubre is taking it to a new level, and that will lead me right into number 2. Tobias Harris. Let's talk about Toby for a second because he is in no way, shape, or form the star of this show. But, this is what it got me thinking. Over the last couple of months, we've watched Kelly Oubre blossom into this pretty solid third option for the 76ers, whether it be hitting threes, whether it be cutting to the basket, whether it be going to the foul line, maybe creating turnovers, running the floor. The spark and the clutch moments that he's been able to provide for this Sixers team. This is what Tobias Harris was supposed to be. This is exactly what Tobias Harris was supposed to be. Kelly Oubre doesn't really seem to go through these spells, but when he does go through any sort of a shooting slump, he relies on attacking the basket. He relies on getting the end one and going to the foul line. He relies on some pretty solid defense. Toby last year started to rely, especially in the playoffs, on that solid defense. You really saw him start to blossom in that role. But he didn't become a 3-and-D guy. He wasn't finishing at the rim. Kelly Oubre is finishing at the rim. He's hitting threes for you. And without question, he is providing those clutch points that you need so often, especially in the postseason. But watching Toby over the last couple of games here, he has started to develop a little bit more into a consistent scorer for the Sixers team. He got 21 points for the Sixers today. He had 14 with Joel Embiid still in the lineup on Friday night against Orlando. Then he dropped in another 15 points against Detroit Pistons, had an 18-point game and a 21-point game. These are just his last 5 games. If you can get this with him as the number 4 option behind Kelly Oubre, well, then this is great. But if you get this version of Tobias Harris, or I should say, if you get this version of Tobias Harris in the postseason with Embiid as your MVP, Tyrese Maxey as your other all-star and leading scorer over the last couple of months here, right? And then Kelly Oubre playing at the level he is, and Tobias Harris actually carving out a little niche for himself here on this team, that's a hell of a team to go into the postseason with. It's also a hell of a team to take on the Heat, hopefully win that game, and then possibly put yourself in a position there to go play the Knicks, who are now the Eastern Conference number 2 seed. What? Now, if there was anything the Bucks did today that was at all positive, it was the idea of helping knock the Knicks, well, really bumping themselves down, and the Knicks moving themselves up to the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, which is phenomenal. Because you get an opportunity then with a win over the Knicks, with a win over the Heat to be able to go on there and face the New York Knicks. That's awesome. Now, there's still games to be played here. One in particular, possibly two. And I can say this a lot, but I'll say it one more time. When it comes to the 76ers, and the Sixers being the hottest team in the NBA, that's wonderful. But there's a team named the Miami Heat, who are also a very dangerous playoff team. In fact, playoff Jimmy. And if you remember last year, the Miami Heat went out there in the play-in tournament. They lost the first game, got bounced back, had to play the Bulls, beat the Bulls. They went on taking the Bucks, and they ended up knocking the Bucks off their pedestal. Just like you don't want to face the hottest team in the NBA, like I'm sure a lot of teams don't want to face the 76ers, the Heat. I'm sure Jimmy Butler is just, bring it. I don't give a damn what you're putting in front of me. I'm going to win. I'm going to go out there and win. Playoff Jimmy, baby. You're going to take on playoff Jimmy? Bring it. Okay. Just like teams don't want to face the hottest team in the NBA, you also don't want to face the Miami Heat led by Jimmy Butler when it matters most. Now, is the game here in Philadelphia? Yes, the game is here in Philadelphia, 7 o'clock Wednesday night. Joel Embiid is going to be up and ready to go. They sat him out today for precautionary reasons. That's actually the third thing. So let me just get to the third thing real quick. Embiid sat today, strictly precautionary. He did everything he was supposed to do in practice. Just thought you could beat the Brooklyn Nets, which they did today by 12 points. You could beat the Brooklyn Nets without... Excuse me, more than 12 points. You could beat the Brooklyn Nets today by not having Joel Embiid play, without Joel Embiid. And they did that. But Hield stepped out. Oubre was great. Tobias Harris was great. Everybody's great. They won the game, so they did exactly what they're supposed to do and they were able to give Joel Embiid the night off for it. So looking at it going forward, he should be fine. I have no concerns about him. And the fact that you've already got him over 33 minutes playing in these games and giving you great quality minutes while he's out there, that is a sight for sore eyes. So of all the things, I just wanted to get it out of the way there that, yes, Joel Embiid is healthy. But as we continue to push on here and we look at the team like the Miami Heat and what they could do with playoff Jimmy coming to town, I still have confidence the Sixers will win. I have confidence the Sixers will make it out and they'll earn that 7th seed in the Eastern Conference, and they'll go on fighting from that point on. And they'll be able to take on a team like the New York Knicks. All that's great, and all that's what I'm rooting for. But I can't help but feel extremely disappointed. And what it really comes down to, and by the way, it is official now, the New York Knicks are the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. Celtics, Knicks, Bucks, Cavs, Magic, who just destroyed the Bucks today, Pacers, and then the Sixers. So nothing really changes other than the Bucks and the Knicks swap spots. Doc Rivers, who we know all too well here in Philadelphia, didn't help you by beating the Orlando Magic so that you could then take over that 6th playoff seed, which, of course, would have been nice. But he did at least lose today while the Knicks won. So now you have an opportunity to play a team in the Knicks that you know you could beat, and you have an opportunity to take on the Bucks maybe later in a team you know you could beat. This might actually work out the best possible way it could have worked out for the Sixers to not only, make it out of the play-in tournament, but make it out of the first official round of the postseason, and then draw a matchup that could be very favorable in your playoff run. It most likely will be. This could very well be the easiest path to at least the Eastern Conference Finals that the 76ers have had in quite some time. Probably going back to the days of Allen Iverson. And those teams, the Raptors and the Bucks, were not pushovers with the Ray Allen, Sam Cassell, Milwaukee Bucks, and the Vince Carter, Alvin Williams, Toronto Raptors. Those weren't teams you could just push aside. Both those series went to a Game 7. But this could be the easiest route for the Sixers they have had in the Joel Embiid era to get to the Eastern Conference. Because right now, let's face it, are the Sixers really, are they really a play-in tournament team? Well, factually, yes. If you go by the box score, if you go by the standings, that's the hand that they have been dealt. But without Joel Embiid for 2 months, yeah, they're going to suffer. Joel Embiid playing in the playoffs, being healthy, playing himself into being ready to go for 30-plus minutes a night, not having to play back-to-backs in the postseason. This is set up for the Sixers to be disguised as a play-in tournament team. But in all actuality, if they have Joel Embiid healthy throughout the year, you're talking about most likely, at worst, the number 2 seed behind the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference, if not being the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. Now, take that with a grain of salt, I will say. Boston has played unbelievable this year. You're talking about a team that's won 64 games on the regular season, so it'd probably be hard to catch up to them. But at worst, the number 2 seed, certainly for the Sixers with a healthy Joel Embiid, and what he has been doing all season long. I mean, you talk about the Boston Celtics now with a 780 win percentage on the year. Sixers with a healthy Joel Embiid and with Tyrese Maxey on the floor, I believe are at a 760 win percentage, which is pretty good. Pretty good when you look at the way everything is shaken out so far this year, or I should say through the regular season. So we'll continue to talk about what the matchup is going to look like there against the Miami Heat. We'll also continue to look at guys that could be helping you as this postseason play-in tournament gets underway Wednesday night. We'll break it all down. Plus, hey, you don't want to miss a fun fact about Doc Rivers that makes him look terrible, do you? I didn't think so. We'll be back in a second to break that down for you. You're locked on 76ers Postcast. So let's break it down for you here as far as this 76ers team goes. But first, the Game Time app. Getting tickets to the game or event has never been easier or more reliable and trustworthy than it is right now, thanks to the Game Time app. You want to go to the game? Game Time app. Want to go to the concert? Game Time app. Want to go to the comedy show? The Game Time app. And how about this? Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace for Major League Baseball, which means getting tickets is even faster and easier than ever before. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer to the first pitch. So that's pretty good. Also, it's fantastic. Now, here's what I love personally about the Game Time app and why I actually use this app. Amazing last-minute ticket deals. All in pricing so that when you get the checkout, there's not that surprise. Oh, these are $40 more than you expected. What? Where'd that come from? No. Not happening here with the Game Time app. And also, you could view your seat and its vantage point before you buy. And how do you forget? This is the best part. Guaranteed lowest price. You already know you're getting the quality with the all-in pricing and the vantage point from your seat, but you also get the guaranteed lowest price. What does that mean? Better than that, actually. The Game Time app will actually credit you 110% of the difference if you find tickets on another app, another site for less money. They got the guarantee right there for the Game Time app. Find it in the same section and row for less money. You get credit 110% of the difference. How about that? So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, you create an account, redeem the code right there with LOCKEDONNBA. If you haven't seen it, it's right there at the lower third of the screen. LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. And now let's talk about how amazing that Monopoly Go app is. This is a great time. If you love the game, you'll love this. And I have to admit, I do have a bit of competitive side to me. A little eye of the tiger when it comes to the old-fashioned board game, and even more so now with Monopoly Go. And it increases tenfold that competitive edge with Monopoly Go. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's been downloaded by over 150 million users. It's a great twist on Monopoly where you can play on not one, but hundreds of Monopoly boards. It's a little crazy. Things get nuts. Crazy locations. You can also build up amazing cities that bring you big money. But the best part? Messing with your friends, your overly competitive friends in this game of Monopoly Go. If I'm playing, I can charge them rent on my iconic properties, just like the classic Monopoly. But now I can also rob their vaults for riches, all to myself. And the leaderboards, they can show me who the biggest Monopoly tycoon is, so you can follow that in Monopoly Go. But, you also have to keep this in mind as well. The competitive nature also has it on both sides of the table here with Monopoly Go. You can team up with friends and people all around the world in time for tournaments and also Have yourself a good time to earn huge rewards. So get in the game. Join your friends. Download Monopoly Go now and have yourself a good time in the Apple Store and also, the App Store and also Google Play. Monopoly Go. Download it now. Before we get back to the 76ers, I also want to tell you guys about how incredible the mock draft is that we got going on here at Locked On. Football fans, don't forget about Locked On's NFL Mock Draft Live coming up this Wednesday, April 17th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, streaming on the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 and streaming channel on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Find the ultimate 6-episode series on April 17th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time to hear who the local Locked On experts are picking for every NFL franchise, with live reactions from local college football experts and even the fantasy football angle. The Locked On NFL Mock Draft, April 17th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, streaming live on Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube or free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Check it all out and more on Locked On Sports. Getting back to the 76ers team. So this team, the Milwaukee Bucks, and Doc Rivers, who used to be the head coach here in Philadelphia, was the head coach here in Philadelphia for quite some time. Did you know that the Milwaukee Bucks have had 3 head coaches this season? And Doc Rivers is the only one that finishes the season under 500. Now, granted, you have one that only had like 3 games under his belt, but he was still 2-1. And even before that, you had a guy who was like 30-13, so that's pretty good. Doc Rivers, 2 games under 500. Had an opportunity going into today to actually get even money there at 500 on the season in his time coaching the Milwaukee Bucks. He comes up just short. That's a shame. Does it help the Sixers with getting out of the play-in tournament? No, obviously it does not. Does it help the Sixers later on, possibly in drawing the New York Knicks in that first round? It absolutely does. But what the Sixers are going to have to do going forward here is continue to move the ball around. Now, one thing jumped out to me from today's performance, other than Tobias Harris's performance, that makes me think this team is better than what we have seen in recent years. And I've stated a few different times on this Locked On 76ers postcast program, I've stated a couple of different times that this is the best brand of basketball we have seen from the Sixers since the Jimmy Butler brief days of him being here in Philly, and how I wish they would continue. But we know the level of Joel Embiid. We know the level of Tyrese Maxey. When Joel Embiid came back, I expected Tyrese Maxey to almost take the foot off the gas a little bit. Let Joel Embiid cook. Let Joel Embiid do his thing. He still let Joel Embiid do his thing. However, Tyrese Maxey kept on bringing it every single night. Now, did he get the night off occasionally? Yes, he got the night off occasionally. But when he was out there on the court, you saw him raise his game to be that legit contending number 1 scorer, even with Joel Embiid being out there on the court. Joel Embiid did not play in the game in San Antonio, and Maxey, that's where he dropped 52 points, including in the double overtime periods. But all that's great because that's clutch points there from Tyrese Maxey. You know what you're going to get. I feel everybody knows what they're going to get from Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. I feel like after that, it has been a little bit of a question. It's come in more clear that Kelly Oubre is that number 3. Tobias Harris can be that number 4, and it certainly looks like over the last couple of weeks of the season, he has emerged into that role. And if, as I said to open the show, you get Oubre and Maxey playing at this level going forward, that's a great thing to have for the 76ers starting 5. After that, Paul Reed as a backup center, Nico Batum as a backup center, and Joel Embiid obviously being the star of that show when it comes to what's going down on the boards. But other than that, the thing that really jumps out to me about the help that you're going to get, we've talked about rookie council, how great of a surprise he's been this year. But Buddy Hield is somebody that has flown under the radar, rightfully so, because of inconsistent play. But over his last handful of games, Buddy Hield has stepped up and been that 3-point shooter that the 76ers have really needed for quite some time. And the greatest example of that today was how Buddy Hield was able to help this team close out that third quarter. It wasn't a close game by any means. The Sixers were really never threatened in that second half to be losing a lead or anything like that. But Buddy Hield, at the end of that third quarter, in the final 51 seconds of that third quarter, all of a sudden knocked down 3 threes to expand the Sixers lead to 81-64. 3 threes in 51 seconds. That is what you want from a three-point shooter, to quickly be able to turn the tides of a game. Now, are you going to play a team like the Nets in the playoffs? Obviously not. But if you have that waiting in the wings for you, if you have that ability, which is exactly why you go after a guy like Buddy Hield to begin with, because all of a sudden you're down 10 points, all of a sudden you get 3 threes in a minute. You're talking about a 1-point game all of a sudden before you even blink. That's why you need that guy that can hit that 3-run homer for you, essentially. Things aren't looking good. Things are struggling. All of a sudden, Buddy Hield explodes, gets you 4 threes in the game, gets you 3 threes in those less than a minute, and things are starting to look a lot different for this Sixers team. So we saw Tobias Harris take that step forward today. We saw Buddy Hield take that step forward again today at 5 threes the other night. He's able to respond again tonight with 4 in general throughout the game. No better example than the end of that third quarter. So if this is what you're going to see from him, and you get 3-point shooting from Campaign, and you get a guy being able to lead the charge, helping out Tyrese Maxey with Kyle Lowry, I mean, this is an offense where a lot of different guys can hurt you. Is it going to be Joel Embiid? Absolutely. Is it going to be Tobias Harris? Certainly. Is that going to be a constant 35 and 25 points between them? Or should be 35 for Embiid, 25 for Maxey on a consistent basis, maybe even combining for over 65, 70 points? Yes, that is going to be probably the norm. But if you have other guys coming off the bench to help you, other guys in that starting 5 knocking down threes, guys coming off the bench, Campaign, Buddy Hield knocking down threes, plus a guy that's going to be aggressive and attack the basket like Ricky Council IV, and he gets playoff minutes with his 2-way contract getting converted, love it, then this Sixers team is a deep team. And that's one of the things that really bugged me, even going back to that Jimmy Butler team. Yeah, that was the best brand of basketball I've seen until this year. But even with that team, you struggled to find guys to come off the bench to really give you substantial minutes and help you. Your Tobias Harris was your starter. Like, other than Boban Marjanovic coming off the bench to give you like 10 or 15 minutes, you didn't get a lot of consistency. It was all about your starting 5. You needed a deeper bench. This Sixers team seems like they got 9 guys that could go out there and absolutely help you throughout the entire night and come up with those big shots and hit those big shots that you need to be hit late in the fourth quarter. And you got guys that might be off. Another guy will step up. When you have a team that is this deep, you're talking about a team in the 76ers that can use that next man up mentality, not in the event of injury. I don't mean it like in a football sense, but in a game of basketball, your shot might not be falling one night. Maybe you're going through some struggles and you're 0 for your last 10 from 3, whatever the case might be. Somebody else can step up for you. And that's one of the beautiful things about this team is the depth. And I'll tell you who I credit with that depth coming up in just 1 second. We'll get to that in our final segment here. You're Locked On 76ers Postcast. Let's talk about Prize Picks. We've talked about it a lot. Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to get in on all the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. And all you got to do, very simple. You pick more or you pick less on 2 or more player stats, and you watch the winnings roll in. Get in on the NBA's playoff action and win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks as you and the world's best players take the game to a whole new level during the postseason. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You could turn $10 into $1,000 in basketball, in hockey, in college, hoops, entries, and all that. Oh, it's such a good time. Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Prize Picks has something for every sports fan, from basketball to hockey to League of Legends and everything in between. You just got to hit more or less. That's it. I told you last week I hit on Aaron Nola's strikeouts. Got less on that. It hit. Also, Tyrese Maxey points today. I said he'd get more than 21. He got 26. I hit more. I win. That's all you got to do. It's just that simple. Download the app today. Download the Prize Picks Prize Pick app and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, download the app today, Prize Picks app, and use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. It's highly encouraged, ladies and gentlemen. Take your time and enjoy all that Prize Picks has to offer. Prize Picks, pick more, pick less. It's just that easy. So thinking of Doc Rivers not helping the Sixers get out of the play-in tournament, thinking of that, it made me go back to trusting these young guys and trusting these guys to come off the bench and give you this much help. I mean, Cam Payne is a proven player, proven commodity, helped the Suns with their success they've had over the recent years here. But he has been a consistent shooter for you this season. He has been a great spark to have off that bench. Ricky Council, I've been singing his praises. But I don't think it happens without the institutions from Nick Nurse this year. It's not one guy makes a play. It's not whether it's Tyrese Maxey at the top of the key looking to play, looking for the assist, like a James Harden strategy or anything like that. It's not just one guy goes down there and makes play. You see these guys almost run like a everybody touches it type of offense. If you were a grade school player, you had that one kid on the team that maybe didn't score a point yet late in the game. Everybody, all right, here we're going to go. We make sure this guy gets the ball. Everybody touches it, and then he scores. Or maybe it's a complete blowout, and the guy at the end of the bench, he hasn't scored at all. You get him in the game. He's the only one that can shoot. This team is so unselfish, even with Joel Embiid in it. And that's one of the biggest revelations. I think a lot of it has to do with Joel Embiid wanting to make the decision to set up his teammates, to help them out more with the way he's been able to find assists over the last couple of weeks since he's come back. 8 assists, 7 assists. You're seeing that number really grow this year. But I also think a lot of that is with Nick Nurse, because Nick Nurse, one of the things people were concerned about when he got hired was Joel Embiid and whether or not you're going to limit his minutes. Oh, he had an experience with Kawhi Leonard only playing 60-some games in a time you won a championship. How are you going to use that situation to our benefit here in Philadelphia? Well, if anyone's going to understand load management, it's going to be me, so I got experience dealing with that. And then the thing that got swept under the rug because load management was such a talking point was, what about just getting the best out of your player? I thought that was a coach's job, not just, all right, you're going to play here, but you're not going to play there. You're going to play over there, but you're not going to play here. Not just that, but also getting the best version of the basketball player that we have seen. And Joel Embiid sharing the ball this year, more so than he ever has in his career, has been the best version of Joel Embiid I've seen. It's been historic. When you're comparing him to only Wilt Chamberlain, that's unbelievable. And the numbers he was putting up before he went out with the injury and the numbers he's been able to put up since coming back. A lot of that goes to Joel Embiid making the decision that he wants to expand his game and continue to get better, which is exactly what you want from a star like him. Especially if he's your star, that's exactly what you want to see from him. I loved the idea as the season went on and he played against the Denver Nuggets, and he grabbed Nikola Jokic and said, you're the best player because you got that ring. And that shows you it's on Joel Embiid's mind. He's got the trophy. He's got the MVP award. Now you want to get that Larry O'Brien trophy in the trophy case at home, in the trophy room. That's the next thing you got to be after. For that to be on his mind against Nikola Jokic earlier in the season, I thought was a great thing. But it also goes back to coaching. And if that player like Joel Embiid is going to go out there and try to evolve his game to get more teammates involved and have the highest assist numbers he's ever had in his career, albeit not an 82-game sample size or even a 70-game sample size, you're at least knowing, watching him play, that his goal is not just to dominate in his own right, and we all know he can, but if it's not there for him, and maybe there's a safer play where he doesn't have to go through contact to get down to the boards and be able to get down to a block, and he can hit somebody like Buddy Hield on the outside or Kyle Lowry or Tyrese Maxey, that is the next step. And I think that, of all things, is what Nick Nurse has done well to help this team. The ball movement, as it pertains to the young guys coming off the bench and helping you, the ball movement as it pertains to Joel Embiid being able to set up his teammates for their own success. That's what you're seeing this year that you haven't seen at any other point in the Joel Embiid era here in Philadelphia. You'd have to rely on Ben Simmons, remember that guy? Him racking up the assists. You'd have to rely on James Harden, him racking up the assists. Now it seems like you have a very deep team that is going to go out there, put up points, and you kind of know the 1 and 2 guys. But after that, it's a crapshoot to see who's going to step up and really help you win basketball games in the postseason. Our next Sixers game will be Wednesday night. That'll be our next postcast here on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. So we'll be talking about the 76ers taking on the Miami Heat and Jimmy Butler Wednesday night. Look forward to breaking that down for you. Make sure you guys hit like and subscribe here on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. And also, don't forget to check out the Locked On Sports Locked On Sixers podcast tomorrow as well. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody. My name is Mark Farzetta. Hit like and subscribe on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Be back with you guys tomorrow for a little Phillies conversation. We'll talk then, and then we'll be back again on Wednesday. Talk Sixers. See you guys then.